Kia ora, hello, my name is Chris Clarke and I'm the CEO of World Vision New Zealand. I've just come back from spending some time in Lebanon and in Iraq with refugee families living in the refugee camps and hearing their stories. It's brought to life to me the passage in scripture where Jesus in the middle of the night as a young baby is picked up by his mother and father and taken as a refugee into Egypt to flee trauma and to flee conflict. That took on a whole new meaning for me when we interviewed the fathers and the mothers of refugee children, and they described to us the impossible choices they faced. That did they stay behind in Syria to look after their aged parents, or did they flee into comparative safety in places like Lebanon? And the choices didn't end just there. The choices extended to the fact, do I marry my 11-year-old daughter off simply to keep her safe? And then arriving in Lebanon, do I send my 12-year-old son into the field to dig potatoes or to chop wood so that we can earn an extra $2 a day, which will make the difference between a family going hungry and a family being able to feed all their children? These are impossible choices. And these are the kind of choices that Joseph and Mary faced with the young baby Jesus, and the choices that are facing parents from Syria. 5.6 million children displaced by this conflict. And our great fear is that they will become the forgotten generation. Why is that? Simply because this is not a conflict of New Zealand's making. Simply because it is just so complex to try and work out who's right and who's wrong. And simply because this is surely a place that has always known conflict. But this is our great concern, that if we do nothing, we accept the fact that children become collateral damage in an adult person's war. And so what can we do? And it was a question I asked constantly. It was difficult, to be honest, to find hope in this situation, surrounded by the snow and the cold and the sheer desperateness of these huge refugee camps. But it is there. It was actually in the World Vision staff workers who are feeding every day thousands, tens of thousands of refugee families. It's there every day in the organisations that are providing shelter and warmth and clothing. It's there every day in the work that's done just simply to make sure that there are toilets, so that there's good sanitation, that these thousands of displaced people actually can live in comparative clean environment. The story doesn't end there though. The story must continue as more refugees flock across borders and within places like Iraq. We must do more to make sure they're not the forgotten generation. One of the refugee mothers said to me on our very last day, please tell our story. Make sure we're not the forgotten generation. Which is why we're appealing to churches across New Zealand to say, please, Scripture tells us right from Deuteronomy through Scripture to care for the widow, to care for the poor, to care for the refugee. Never has there been a humanitarian crisis of this scale in many a year. And for those reasons I appeal to you not to forget the widow, not to forget the refugee, and not to forget the child. But better than me, listen to the story of Adel. He is an example both of the challenges of being a refugee, but also the hope that lies in that generation of young people. Wouldn't it be fantastic if we could offer Adel the hope that he dreams for, which is that his sisters will be safe, that they'll be educated, and that they might live a normal life. Thank you.
شنو ايش طريقين؟ طيارة.
طيارة.
She wants an airplane.
What was she doing with this airplane? احنا رحنا لقاها بمكان، جت لقاها بالمكان البسيط.
لقيتيهم مجتوب.
لقيناها. مع ناس مانية عاد. زوجي من العام بالإحداثات. اشتريته برميل. نزل عليه شي بسوق اجتانا واشتلوه. جينا بورمو. وش جبنا؟ والله ما جبت له هدوم هذنا البلقاع.
80,000 سوري.
جبت له هدوم البلقاع هذنا. نام به بس.
نروح. من جينا جان ما عاد نروح على المدرسة انضربت، هاي جاها برميل زاد انضربت، كان بيها الطلاب تأذوا. بحب نلعب، بحب ندرس، يعني نكتب بالعربي، ما بعرف بالانجليزي حيل. نظل خايفين على اليوم هيك، لا من مبسوطات، يعني مهنا مأملات الشغلات اللي نريدنها. يعني مثلا نريد لنا العاب شيء من مأملات شيء. يظل يخافون تنام بالليل، يظل يخافون يقعدون من النوم.
ليه يخافون؟
ما تجيهم مثل الرعب ويحضرون هاي يقول جاني جاني. وتظل يجي ربع ساعة تظل تصيح.
تخاف الليل اجتماع الحالة نظرت
من الطيران أولي.
بدي اشتغل مشان اجيب مصاري لاخواتي، بس اكبر اجيب مصاري لاخواتي وهيك امشي حالتنا بيها. انا ما اريد كل شيء غير سلامتهن، يعني بس اللي يريد يطلبونه بدي اياهن. شو تريدين؟ شنو هي؟ شو تريدين؟ طيارة.
طيارة.
She wants an airplane.
What was she doing with this airplane?
شو بتعملي بهيدي الطيارة؟
شو تروح بيها على سوريا؟
يقول لك أنا أحبيها.
تقول بيها روح على سوريا.